The Seals, Trumpets and Bowls, Part 2. In our quest to determine where the sequence of seals, trumpets and bowls fit into the end-time narrative, I have laid an important chronological marker that states that the sixth seal and the seventh trumpet converge on the day of the Lord, when Jesus comes as the Son of Man to gather his elect, as in Matthew 24. I proposed in QB41 that the wrath of God will not yet have been unleashed up to this point. That's because the wrath of God is reserved until after the rapture and will be poured out in the seven bowls. We've dealt with objections to this position already from the progressive view in QB42, but now we must respond to challenges from the simultaneous view, which believes the sequence of seals, trumpets and bowls are either concurrent or even describe the same event but from a different perspective. If that were so, then the bowls would not follow the trumpets. The simultaneous view compares the details depicted in the three sequences and observes the similarities between them. For example, the first trumpet and first bowl both relate to the earth, Revelation 8:7 and chapter 16 verse 2. The second trumpet and second bowl relate to the sea, Revelation 8 verses 8 and 9 and Revelation 16 verse 3. The third trumpet and bowl relate to rivers and springs, Revelation 8, 10 and 11, Revelation 16, 4. And the fourth trumpet and bowl both relate to the sun, Revelation 8, 12, Revelation 16 verse 8 and 9. Now, whilst the similarities are clearly observable, the resemblance is not enough to claim them as happening at the same time, or indeed that they are even the same event. An example that undermines the reliability of the simultaneous view is the comparison of the earthquake mentioned in all three sequences, namely the sixth seal, the seventh trumpet, and the seventh bowl. Listen carefully to the description of the earthquake in each of these sequences. Revelation 6, verse 12 to 14. I looked when he opened the sixth seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake. And the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became like blood. The stars of the heaven fell to the earth as a fig tree drops its late figs when it is shaken by a mighty wind. Then the sky receded as a scroll when it is rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place. After the seventh trumpet, we read in Revelation 11:19, then the temple of God was opened in heaven, and the ark of his covenant was seen in his temple. And there were lightnings, noises, thunderings, an earthquake, and great hail. Then, in Revelation 16, verses 17 to 20, we read, the seventh angel poured out his bowl into the air, and a loud voice came out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, it is done. There were noises and thunderings and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake. Such a mighty and great earthquake had not occurred since men were on the earth. Now the great city was divided into three parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon was remembered before God to give her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. Then every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. In each sequence, there will be an earthquake, and because the devastation caused will be so great, especially with the sixth bowl and seventh seal earthquakes, the simultaneous view sees these as the same event, since such colossal damage can only happen once. The argument goes like this. If the sixth seal earthquake causes every mountain and island to be removed, then that's a final, unrepeatable process. The earthquake in Revelation 16:20, therefore, which records every island to flee away and every mountain to not be found, must therefore be describing the same event. On the face of it, that would seem to be a good point. However, as always, let's go back to the text and see what it's actually saying and what it's not. Here's the sixth seal earthquake again in Revelation 6, verse 14. Then the sky receded as a scroll when it is rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place. The Greek word for moved is kaneo and means to be moved, set in motion, to remove. It also means to excite, disturb, to throw into commotion, or to wag. Wag meaning to shake back and forth, as in a dog wagging its tail. This word kaneo is used to describe the riot of the Ephesians against Paul's preaching in Acts 21 verse 30, which reads, "And all the city was disturbed." The word kaneo. Other translations say the whole city was rocked, or then all the city was stirred up. I suggest what Revelation 6:14 is describing in the sixth seal is not a disappearance or removal, but a shaking of the mountains as one would expect with an earthquake. But what it isn't describing is a complete disappearance, as in the earthquake at the time of the seventh bowl in Revelation 6:20, which reads, "Then every island fled away, and the mountains were not found." Incidentally, the word fled in Greek means to escape safely out of danger, to shun something abhorrent, to flee, seek safety by flight. But what isn't in this verse is the word kineo, as it was in Revelation 6:14. In summary then, I have proposed that the seventh trumpet, sixth seal, converge on the day of the Lord when he comes on the clouds as the Son of Man with his angels to gather his elect. The wrath of God has been withheld until this point, as we learnt in Quick Bites 41, and as I'll cover next time, the wrath of God is poured out in the seven bowls. Since this viewpoint does not conform to either the progressive or simultaneous view, I've taken time and responded to objections proposed by both. Now that we have done so, I can confidently continue laying out this bridal perspective on the unfolding of future events.